Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys an 18 win challenge guide for the hardest challenge. As you can see, 18 wins. We've never had a challenge above 15 wins, so the first one of its kind, and it's going to be a spray per every 3 games. So I'll give you guys a full breakdown of all the best compositions, all the best tips, and whatever else. I'm doing things a little bit differently, giving you guys more in depth as ever. So before we jump into it, make sure you're using the create code. That'd be greatly appreciated. And without further ado, let's jump into it. Okay, guys, so starting off with set number 1, we have friendly fire off Wipeout. So it's not out in rotation, or it hasn't been for a long time, so I had to recreate it on a bounty. But anyways, these are the best brawlers and the best composition to use. So for me, the number 1 composition has to be Piper, Carl, and Tick. So the main reason why you want to pick Piper, right, the role that you want to be playing as her. So as a Piper, you want to stay safe and stay around the middle wall, of course trying to peek and obviously try and help your lanes out a little bit. But most of the time you want to dip in and out the middle, of course looking to get extra pressure when someone is like one shot, so then you can finish them off with a gadget. Then once you get your first super, it's really important on this map specifically, because once you get rid of a few of those walls near the enemy side, you're going to just absolutely dominate. So the first one, of course, is going to be the one in the middle. You want to break that up ASAP, but if you can't, of course, break that open without, of course, dying, you want to open the left-hand side, just because it'll be a little bit easier for you to take them out. Normally there'll be someone like push up to that wall as well. So if you're about to get spawn trapped though with Piper, make sure that you're opening some walls up, so then of course it's not just going to domino, because in a game mode like Wipeout, it can easily just get a domino effect where you can just keep stacking those kills over and over again, because it's easy to get spawn trapped, right? So next up we have how to play Tick. So Tick's normally down the right hand side. Tick is really good there because there's not a lot of room to like move, so it's really easy just to constantly spam shots. But of course the number 1 tip for Tick is not to just spam all of your shots at the same time. Make sure with every shot you kind of pressuring them and forcing them into like an uncomfortable position. So again, just conserving your ammo just a little bit. And then for Carl is the main pressure brawler, especially within this composition. So making sure when an enemy is low, make sure you're either supering them or getting a gadget close to them so you can finish them off, but making sure you're at least applying some pressure so then your teammates can at least do something. So those are going to be the best brawlers to use. A bunch of other brawlers that you can pick as well, because bearing in mind it is a first set. So as long as you're picking some comfort brawlers, just don't go silly with tanks, and you should be able to get the win in set number 1. So yeah, that's going to be set number 1. Let's hop into set number 2. Okay, so next up for set number 2, we have chill space. So I forgot to mention as well, I did a video on all the best builds yesterday, so that's why I've not included it on the graphic this time around, because it just takes like ×5 the amount of time to make every single graphic. So I just thought I'd mention that quickly in the video. And so chill space, this one's quite unique in the fact that like the mid brawlers aren't typically the ones that you would see on other maps, because turrets are just so essential on this map, or any type of like super that can help with zoning. So Penny, Jessie, Bo, Jean, those are the type of mids that you want to be playing on this map. But Penny in particular, because a turret can easily be placed in a safe spot. There's multiple places. Normally I place it down in the bottom far left, because that's a pretty safe spot. Normally no one's like around there, so that's a pretty good place. But of course with Penny, I always say don't throw your first turret in an aggro position, at least throw it quite far back, so then you can give yourself enough time to cycle. And then also a tip with Penny overall, just as a gem carrier, is to never overextend. Even if you've got the enemy team spawn trapped, you don't want to overextend. You don't want to just throw your gems away, else of course you're going to quickly throw away some much needed like lost lives. So next up we have Carl. So Carl, again, it's all about chipping away. Use your super on brawlers that don't cancel you, but on this map in particular, you can easily get some nice wall peeks with Carl. That's why I love him so much. You can easily just hug the walls, shoot around it, you know, use your movement to of course hit an opponent like literally through a wall. You guys should know how to play Carl by now, but you are the brawler in your composition as well that has to deal with the most pressure, so your gem carrier can safely pick up gems, so bear that in mind when you're playing Carl. And then lastly, Ruffs is a really good defensive brawler. Don't be afraid to open up the middle of the map, because in turn it's going to help your gem carrier not get pushed by those aggro brawlers, and always give your first power up to the gem carrier. So that is going to be set number 2. Let's hop into set number 3. Okay, so next up for set number 3, we have opener zone, hot zone. So this map is a little bit of a weird one. It's really hard to get like consistent pressure on this map, and it's really easy just to get back in the gunfight. But anyways, these are the best brawlers to use on this map. So Max, I thought was the best mid, just because I like the ability just to pressure really easily. She's got decent damage. She of course can just speed everyone up, and she only really gets hard countered by Crow. So I thought Max would be the perfect mid here. So the playstyle with Max, of course, you want to be making sure that you're focusing a lot on just wiggling around, trying to get as much zonage as possible, but also capitalizing when the enemy team are pretty weak, using your gadget to, of course, tank a shot and then finish them off. So it's always important to be really overly aggressive with Max sometimes, just so you can get the pressure and get the zonage on the hot zones. So next up, you have a Lola then. So Lola is an essential brawler on an open map and specifically in hot zones. So it all comes down to how you play her gadget. A lot of the time, you can get so much percentage on the zone if you throw your super gadget straight away and kind of hide behind it. As long as you're not facing off against like a Penny or something, you're going to get a lot of zonage because it's going to tank so much. There's basically no brawler in the game that can deal any damage to that Lola gadget. So just being able to get a lot of well capitalizing off of that super, it's super essential. Lola overall just going to be really good down the left hand side because you know for sure no one's sneaking up on you and it's literally open. Like that's the map name, open zone. So of course she's going to be really strong. And then finally I had Crow then. So Crow, of course, on an open map as well, it's going to be really easy to connect your shots. But the reason why it's so good is because there's a lot of low HP brawlers on this map in particular. So his supers are going to be really easy to get a lot of kills. And just overall, like Crow can just be pretty decent against those really squishy brawlers. As I said, it's really easy to get multiple slows onto multiple people. So then, of course, your teammates can help you capitalize and get those kills. So the slows are even more important on a map like this. So yeah, open zone in particular is a tricky one. So spend as much time in the middle as possible, as it's easy to get back into the combat. Like there's not a lot of bushes to sneak, you just run and gun going straight into it. Of course there's a lot of other options as well, but I thought these were the best bets. Like B can be pretty good as well in the middle, not the like the generic kind of meta brawler, but on this map in particular she's so strong because you just get infinite B shots everywhere. So that is going to be set number 3. Good luck with this one because I feel like it'll be a bit of a hard one. Let's hop into the next one. Okay, so next up we have set number 4 and we have Tornado Ring Heist. So these are the best brawlers to use on this map in particular. So you've got a couple of options in the middle for a brawler that's going to defend. Normally I just go for a Gale or an Ems. Both of them are capable of like 1v2 in defense, especially against those tankier brawlers. So that bear that in mind in particular for your mid brawler. It has to be a brawler that counters tanks because this map is so easy to push up and get damage with like a Daryl or something like that. So Ems is amazing with a speed gear, and your focus every single time is to ensure that no enemy brawlers again onto your safe. Of course, as an Ems, you want to primarily just think about that. Of course, you can get some damage if like you get a full team wipe, but at all times you need to be at least trying to protect your safe. And then for me, the number one thing that I see Ems do wrong is use knockbacks quite early. So normally Ems can counter tanks pretty well with a knockback. Of course, you don't want to use it every single time because as the game goes on, brawlers like Carl and Daryl can just absolutely go ham on you because you've used all your knockbacks. Literally, all they can do is like close the gap between you, and you're not going to be able to do anything as an Ems. And also the last point, be aggressive with your super. So as soon as you get your super, just try and shut down their enemy brawlers as quickly as possible. So then you can turn that kill into some pressure offensively. So next up we have Daryl. So Daryl is all about pressure. Even if you end up dying without getting any damage, it actually can be pretty good. So as long as you have forced your enemies to pinch you out, it can be a successful death because then it can allow your teammates to push up and get some damage and just spend as little time as defending as possible with Daryl. Some people just spend too long defending with Daryl. Just go up. Unless you're about to lose, just go up. Just leave your Ems to try and defend because you need that damage. And then Carl can be pretty amazing on this map because if you get into that left-hand side pocket, he can shoot a safe from a safe angle and get a lot of damage. So yeah, those are going to be the best brawlers for this map. Let's hop into the next one. Okay, so now going into set number 5, we have Extra Bouncy. So for this Brawl Ball map, I feel like it can be a little bit awkward. Like it's really open sometimes, especially when you go a couple of deaths down. You get spawn trapped so easily. You can just hide behind that wall. It can be pretty cheesy. So for me, the best combination has to be Penny, Janet, and Carl. Ruffs can be pretty good as well. A good wall break option to score a little bit easier, but just overall, I feel like this is the best combination. So for Penny, Penny's job is to, of course, just poke as much as possible, trying to build up that super. And then there's a lot of places you can easily just place your turret, but also making sure that you're assisting your lanes as much as possible here in their battles, so then you can push up. Next up you have Carl. So Carl has an amazing range for this map, and just in particular it's really hard for enemies to dodge Carl because it's so, like the walls are only like a tile or a couple of tiles wide, so Carl's shot can easily just go around it. So that's why Carl is completely OP on this map. So you got to be making sure 100% you have a Carl in your composition, and more so because it's set number 5. I didn't really put too many tank counters in there, just because when it gets towards the end stages, you don't really typically see many tankier brawlers. Maybe at the beginning you see some tankier brawlers, but I would say set number 5, normally it's just the sweatiest meta combos ever. So that's why I've really just not put too many tank counters in there. But Carl can somewhat deal with tanks with his super, and Penny can with her gadgets. So I wouldn't really say you're too like skeptical about the tanky brawlers, but you can also go like an Ash here as well if you wanted to. So lastly we have Janet. So Janet, of course, you guys should know how to play her. She's so ridiculously OP right now. The gadgets are going to allow you to get some good early pressure, so don't be afraid just to spam your gadgets at the beginning, because you want as much early pressure as possible on this type of map, and focus more so on the brawlers who can't like collapse onto you and counter you. So you want to be making sure that you're less so on the tanks, because they can counter you pretty well, because of course you haven't got like a knockback or anything like that. So yeah, for me overall, you can go a lot of different brawlers on here. As I said, Ruffs before, Ruffs can be really good on this map, because of course you've got like the lanes where, you know, brawlers like Rico and Ruffs can really dominate, and then once you get like opening the enemy's walls, it can just allow you to dominate even more. So trying to think of some other brawlers as well. Griff can open up the map as well pretty decently. Squeak is a little bit riskier outside of draft, because of course like aggro brawlers like Carl and also Janet as well can do absolute work against you. So that is going to be set number 5. Let's hop into the final set. Okay guys, so moving into the 6th and final set, which is kind of bizarre to say. 18 wins, kind of crazy. Not a lot of people are going to win this one, but hopefully if you get to this stage, these compositions and brawlers should help you out. So the one brawler for sure has to be Piper on this map. Piper is absolutely insane on Overgrown Canyon. You've got to use her, and especially if you get even one super, what you can do is basically the little bit of grass on the left hand side middle of the area. One super can break up all the walls and basically all of the grass. So that's why Piper is so strong. It allows you to completely counter so many different brawlers. Of course, Piper is completely deadly, so making sure that if you're picking Piper, you've got a hard carry basically. She's so deadly on this map, and as I said before, making sure you're breaking open as many enemy walls as possible with a Piper then. So next up we have Carl. So Carl again is just really strong, because pretty much on any brawler that's, I would say, like below 2k HP, you can know for sure, unless they're literally like a Shelly or something, that you can gadget onto them and get the kill. Even if you're not close to your super, a good gadget can easily just catch them off guard and kill them. But even more so if you're close to that super, making sure you're just gadgeting on pretty much any brawler, you're probably going to get a kill if you're using Protective Pirouette. And then also Carl is better down the right hand side, because even though if he's facing off against his lane down the right, you could get some sneaky shots into like the middle area because of how much range he has. He can also help out your mid as well. So that's why he's so strong down the right hand side. And again, just making sure you get those really good aggressive gadget plays with Carl, not going just completely silly, but making sure that you're at least not getting spawn trapped, because that's always the number one when it comes down to bounties. So lastly we have Penny then. So I just put Penny in there because she's just pretty much good against everything. I wouldn't really say she's the hard carry brawler on a map like this, but I just put her in there just because her turret can really help zone the enemies out, and just overall, as I said, there's not a lot of brawlers that can counter her. You can of course go throwers. He might be a little bit suspect against Carl though, so that's the reason why I didn't put too many throws in this, but these brawlers should be good enough to carry you to the win. Alright guys, it's going to be it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed this one. So I wrote a ton of notes on this. It took a long time to get the graphics ready, all the notes and all that good stuff, so I really appreciate you guys' support on this one. But just lastly, I didn't actually touch a little bit on the like throw point on the last set. So as I was saying about the throwers, like I don't really go Tickle Sprout like too often on that map, just because in this type of meta you have like Janet, Carl, Bonnie, all three of them assassin brawlers, so a little bit risky. But if you're confident enough Sprout and Tick, you can absolutely dominate for sure. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's video guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.